All right, welcome everyone to the Summerhill City Council being held here on April 1st, 2025 at Centerville City Hall. Let's do a roll call to see if we can conduct business tonight. We'll start at the end with Councilman Meekum.
Meekum present.
Summerhays present.
Heeman present.
Plummer present.
Hurst present.
Thank you. We have all 5 council members, so we may proceed with our business tonight. We thank the members of the public that are here that have joined us in person or online. We thank staff that's here, and we look forward to a productive meeting tonight. So let's have a legislative prayer or thought by Council Member Brian Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be praying. Start when everybody's ready. Thank you. Our Heavenly Father, we come today with gratitude in our hearts. We are thankful for the opportunity to gather here as a community and participate in the work of local government. We're thankful for the many blessings we enjoy, including the recent moisture that has blessed our city. We're grateful for this beautiful area we call home and for the peace we enjoy. We express our appreciation for all those who serve in our public offices, our first responders, city staff, and volunteers, all who work so hard to make our city a better place. We ask to bless them with safety and wisdom and encouragement in their efforts. We pray for guidance and inspiration as we do the work of the city, that we may be directed with compassion and unity as we make decisions on behalf of the people that live here. Help us to work together with respect and cooperation. We ask for continued care over our community and our families that live here. Please bless us with the ability to show kindness and understanding to all those that we come in contact with, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Plummer. If you'd all rise and repeat the prayer with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone that's coming in now. The next thing on our agenda is the open session. This is where you can come to the pulpit and take 2 to 3 minutes. Try to keep your comments to that time. Realizing that if it's something that's critical, that we will look to put it on a future agenda because it's not a message to the public 24 hours in advance, but we like to do the work sessions to see what might be on the open sessions to see what might be on residents' mind. Now, in coming to the pulpit, there is a couple public hearing matters. There's a public hearing matter on a zoning map amendment and PDO zoning plat amendment related to 212 West Summerhill Lane. So you'll have a chance to publicly speak on that one during the public hearing. And also there's a public hearing on the public utility easement vacation at the Summerhill Lane lots 121 to 128, so you'll have a chance on that one to speak as well too. So you don't necessarily have to address those two in this open session because you will have your chances of public on those. That's the only public hearings I see. But so you'll have a chance on those. But anything outside of that, just identify who you are and where you're from, and like I said, try to, out of respect, keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes. So that open session is now available.
Can I go first?
Come on up.
Yeah.
Or Jennifer's bringing you
Yeah,
mic.
thank you. Hi, my name's Mark D. Whitaker, and I guess I could be running for President of the United States. of America in 2028. These two laws that I'm going to introduce you to, I think are good for our country. The first one is a qualification law. And what I recall historically speaking was when Hillary Clinton ran versus Donald Trump, she was the most qualified person versus the most unqualified person in history. Well, I think because of this, it's a good thing that we could have a simple qualification law. This qualification law would be a simple two-step career ladder law. The first step would be to it would be required by law for you to hold these two-step career ladder way. And the first job, you would be either a mayor or a city council person or a state representative or a state senator or an elected member of your local school board. The second set of people that you should use as a way to become qualified to become president of the United States, you would have to be either a governor, a U.S. senator, a U.S. representative, a member of the Supreme Court, or a cabinet member. And I think this could be passed, as far as I know, by Congress, but if not by that, then the American people. The second good law that I'm in favor of is term limitation law. Now, what this law would be is 20-year terms. That means that all House of Representatives would have they would have 5 4-year terms. All Senate members would have 6 3-year terms with 1 2-year term. And the President of the United States would have 1 20-year term in this new law. Now, as for the President of the United States, I think it's important to note that I think there's plenty of people out there who think that our foreign policy isn't good enough, that we regularly change foreign policy every 4 or 8 years. And I'm for a change in that, in as much as the president would have 1 20-year term. This will improve, I think, over time with foreign policy. Okay. I'm just kind of glad to be here and tell you that I think these laws would be put in place, I hope, by me. And I think I could become good friends with Mitt Romney and be able to get him to help me write these bills. But I think they would pass. I really do. And I think they're a great idea. And I'll just leave that with you and say God bless Summerhill and God bless America. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you being here. You know, you give some food for thought. You might want to talk to your 4 congressional people and your 2 senators, because those are things that happen up at that level. So, but thank you for your comments. Anybody else on the open session? All right. Thanks. Let's move on then to a presentation, and these are always quite enjoyable. This is citizen recognition presentation. The police, they're looking to recognize 2 individuals, and Chief Alan Ackerson, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you. All right, so today we have with us Brianna Kosek, and Lauren Webb, okay. And with them, we have Brianna's 2 children, and then both Lauren and Brianna's mothers are here as well.
Wonderful.
So today we would like to recognize Lauren and Brianna for an incident that occurred out on I-15 back on September 26th of last year. It was about 5:30 in the morning. They're driving northbound on I-15, and I'll set this up. Then I'll show a body cam video, kind of from the perspective of the responding officer, who was Officer Dalton Groen back there. And so Brianna and Lauren are driving northbound 15. They see a cloud of dust off to the right. A car had driven off the road and flipped over, rolled. They stopped to help. Brianna does have a history with some type of medical background. They get out to help, and a gentleman climbs out of the car, and he's obviously hurt. He's got some type of head injury, and is maybe a little manic. Maybe that might be the description of it. But then it becomes clear to Lauren and Brianna that the guy is wanting to harm himself. In fact, I think he makes this statement of the effect of my intent is to die today. So he keeps trying to make himself get back over to the freeway, climb over to Little Jerseyberry, and every time a semi comes by, he tries to get over to get up front of the semi. This whole time, Brianna and Lauren are fighting with him and holding him, physically restraining him. Brianna was able to make a call to 911 while Lauren went one-on-one with him. And then eventually Brianna had to just drop her phone and get back into it and wrestle with this guy and hold him back. One to keep him away from getting back in his car, and the others to keep him from jumping out in front of cars to harm himself. And so our law enforcement got contacted, and Summerhill was first on scene. Officer Ryan ended up going up to the car, which was actually Brianna and Lauren's car, thinking that was where the incident was, and Officer Groen stopped out at the rollover, which was way off to the right and dark and in a dimly lit area. So Officer Groen ran up, kind of quickly assessed what was going on, and started restraining the gentleman, who then really started fighting, and Brianna and Lauren actually had to jump back in and help again to restrain him until Officer Jones with Woods Cross could get there, and they could restrain him, and the case was then turned over to the Highway Patrol because it's their jurisdiction, and then they took the guy in and got him medical and mental health services after that. So from here, I don't know if you cue up the video. This is the body cam video of Officer Groen, and this is him getting out of his car and running up to the scene.
Get medical going. I've got one under control right now. No, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. 16 fighting with one. Help me. Help me. Okay, let me cuff on him.
He said he tried to flip over. He has a head injury though.
Okay. Are you guys hurt?
No, we just stopped because we saw him flip over.
Medical picture 16.
He tried to kiss me beside you behind over the wall so many times.
Okay, where are you guys parked?
Right up there.
Okay, can you go up there
Yeah.
real quick?
Yeah. Please. You're okay, buddy. I'm gonna help you.
Listen, we'll take care of you, okay?
They're gonna help you. I promise. My dad did that.
Hey, can you guys go wait in the car for me? Thank you. Are you good? Yeah. Okay.
You can see in the video, our citizens here were completely gassed after fighting with this guy in an attempt to save his life, and it worked. And so as a police department, this got flagged early on, and then it went to our awards committee, who then brought it back to our attention that they felt strongly that Lauren and Brianna should be recognized for their heroic actions that day and their selfless actions, put themselves in danger. It's yeah, to fight with someone on the side of the freeway and someone who's trying to get into traffic. It's very humbling to have these people in our city passing through and helping out. And so we'd like to call forward Brianna and Lauren. And if we could have Officer Groen come up as well to join in. Brianna, sorry. Have you come up over here. All right, this is for Lauren. Okay, so what we have here is framed is our department's challenge coin, as well as a patch, and as well as a little recognition certificate there, kind of briefly explaining what happened and what they did. So with that, I'd like to give them a round of applause, and then also, like, if you guys would care, if we could like to get a photo with everyone, with the council and with Officer Groen and Lauren and Brianna. That would be cool. Thing was do it, stand up right up here.
You're the police chief.
All right.
I don't know what you thought you were. Oh. All right. 1, 2. Where are you? Okay, look at me when you're done. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Okay, then real quick, let's get one with their family.
I can take it if you want me to. I just won't take one for the city.
Thank you.
Yes. I'll let Chief do that one. Are you going to be in this one? Brian, let's have you just scoot out just for a sec. Yeah, thank you. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoa. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, and then here's the copy of the video.
Thank you. Amazing.
Bryce, is this yours?
Mine.
Oh, yours, okay.
It's beat up. Was he okay? The guy that was restrained?
Thank you, Brianna and Lauren, and thank you, family, for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, officers. All right. Need to guys do some business now, don't we? So those are stories that are well worth hearing, for sure. All right, let's go to our number one on the agenda, business items. This is the subdivision, final plat, Fourth Amendment, Summerhill Lane subdivision, 2125 North Main. And Mike is going to give us further briefing in addition to what's in your packet. So thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. Mayor, thank you, council. Actually, this is kind of, I think, a positive agenda item. Looking forward to this. This is one of the first challenges I dealt with when I came here working for Centerville City, and I know there's some history with these issues. So maybe at that point to jump into some of the background on this. This is a discussion that's been going on for many years between Symphony Homes and Spencer Packer regarding some disputed property area. And there's 4 steps that as we were looking at a solution to this issue that we've been following. 3 of them were tonight, 1 of them's already happened. So the first one was we came and we went to the Board of Adjustments and had a non-conforming review hearing for the parcel in the back owned by Spencer Packer. And then a portion of property that you'll see in your packet is established as parcel A. That is an allowance of a continuation or extension of that nonconformance. That was granted by the Board of Adjustment back on January 13th of this year. Part of the terms of that agreement were that they do a subdivision amendment to reflect the new parcel A that would be connected to or proposed to be connected to the back parcel owned by the Packer family. That they go through a rezone process that includes looking at amending out that area from the PDO that is part of the Summerhill Lane subdivision, and that third, that any easement issues be rectified and resolved with that. So since that time, we've gone through the process with the applicant group Symphony Homes on those 3 steps. So I'll focus here, since the first one is specific to the subdivision amendment. You'll see in the packet the submitted application, affidavits, the subdivision, 4th subdivision amendment, plat, and other documentation. This affects parcels 121 through 128 of the existing form of the subdivision, which would have been the 3rd amendment of the Summerhill Lane subdivision. And the plan would be for it to be, in the future, if it were to be approved, dedicated and legally connected to parcel 772-0031, which is the Packer parcel. This matter came before the Planning Commission on March 12th of this year, so just a little while ago. Following the presentation of the proposal with the Planning Commission and discussion of with staff, there were no concerns or clarifications desired, and you can see what the voting record is in your packet on page 2 of that summary, the transmittal report, that it was a 6-0 vote in favor of that request. There was a public meeting notice regarding the 4th subdivision amendment posted on the site in conjunction with also the 3rd agenda item in your packet. You'll see on page 3 the reflection of what we're talking about if you're curious in your transmittal report, the parcels that are impacted, and then obviously the Packer parcel is the long zoned parcel that is AL in that. So that's what we're talking about. For the purposes of the review of the plat amendment, the code is pretty straightforward in CMC 15.09, just that they meet all the submittal requirements for the final plat application submittal, which they have. If you agree, or staff comments, you'd see that reflected, and that there is good cause for the vacation or amendment, and neither the public interest nor any person will be materially injured by the vacation. You'll see the last paragraph that starts on page 4 and bleeds into page 5. Based on information provided in the application, staff believes that the proposed subdivision plat amendment meets the reasonings of good cause and represents that neither the public interest nor any person will be materially injured by this project. The subdivision plat amendment request complies with all city standards and zoning codes. So I will say that the plat was also vetted through the design review committee process with all the department heads. For clarity, there's been a lot of notes and things added. If you look at the actual plat, I think there's like 19 or 20 notes. That's the outcome of a lot of conversation with the applicant. The 4th amended plat gets things right relative to the history on this, so that when it's recorded, hopefully it's a once and for all recordation that the lots can be resolved so that Symphony Homes can move forward with the lots with the new configuration, that Mr. Packer will then have the opportunity to connect parcel A to that back lot. So we feel like it satisfactorily resolves that. And there also, if you are curious, this is part of a resolution agreement between Symphony Homes and Mr. Packer. And I guess if you want to have more questions about that specific item or element, Mr. Loveland with Symphony Homes is here to represent their interests, and obviously Mr. Packer is here to represent his interest. So with that, we have provided documentation exhibits reflecting the subdivision amendment and the outcomes of many months of work with both parties on this. And I guess I would defer to the council at this point for any questions of me and or the applicant and or Mr. Packer. Thank you.
First thing, Mike, is when I look at this and the next two items on our agenda, they're all obviously interrelated.
Yes.
We're doing an improvement, or we're doing some sort of approval or disapproval by council on all three of these,
Right.
correct?
Right.
All right.
That's correct.
This is not a public hearing, this one.
Right. That is correct.
The
This one
next
is
two
not
are. I
public
just
hearing.
want council
Yes, that is correct.
to understand that,
Yeah.
so, on this one. So yes, council, questions for Mike at all on
I'm
this?
just thrilled it's resolved, and
So I've got a question on number 11 of the conditions for approval. And I think this stems back to the original disagreement between the parties, and that's the title report. Do the parties and do the city staff feel that title issues have been addressed satisfactorily such that there are no ambiguities in that title report going forward?
I would defer to Lisa on that.
Yes, so we're requesting the title report, it has to be current within 30 days when we review the final plat, because we'll still go through the Mylar. But if you look at the plat notes on the plat notes that were there, that there's a note of interest on this area. The plat indicates that an easement termination agreement will be recorded with the plat. So I like the way they're doing it, because actually, those notes are still on there, and so with the title report, they're still gonna show up, but when this gets recorded, they will also record the easement termination.
And that,
So-
by terminating the easement, clears everything.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, the notice of interest.
Okay.
Plus, the affected area is being transferred. So that solves it as well.
Mike, we can ask this of the applicants. Any concern that you're aware of from the applicants on staff's approved motion here with conditions 1 through 14? I mean, an optional 15, I guess, if we come up with anything else.
Not that I had communicated to me prior to council tonight. So if they do, I guess they could represent those interests at this time. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
Is there?
No, we don't have anything, so I believe all parties are in agreement, so.
Parcel A includes what appears to be a stub section that ties into 2125 North, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so do we have a plan for the future use of that stub? Is it going to be used as an access?
So what was determined, and again, I might allow Mr. Packer to come up further to add to this. What was determined by the Board of Adjustment was, by extension, that becomes part of that legal nonconformity to create legal access and basically legal frontage for the opportunity to develop that as an improved lot at some point in the future, one home. So it would be one legal building lot with that stub access.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that width would get us a legal access, a
Right.
driveway,
Right.
essentially is what it would be.
That's correct. And that's why it was the width that was designated on the plat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Further questions, further clarification? If not, we got a subdivision final plat fourth amendment that we are doing a motion on, correct?
Would you like me to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if anybody, did the applicant or anybody else want to chat?
I just want to make sure that Spence Packer is okay with this. This is
Vince,
what
you
he
want to
wants.
come? You want to come up front?
So can I speak? It's not part of the public hearing.
No, we're not public hearing. Sounds like you're being asked.
I mean, there's, I think, 3 items that are coming before you. This is a culmination of a 4-year process on my side. I don't know that I can express the difficulty that I've gone through. This has been a fairly sterile presentation. There's not a mention of the emotional elements that's been affected as I've gone through this process in an effort to protect a property right that was, in my view, a very obvious and well-defined. But it is a good thing because it brings to a conclusion. And in my world, it takes the conflict out of my life, which is an important element for me. So I'm in hopes that the council will approve each of these 3 elements so that Symphony can complete the requirements of the settlement agreement, and they are actively working to do that. And I think I have a good faith confidence that they will complete that, and this can be a rear view mirror thing in my world and also in their world, and they can move forward and I can. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks, Spencer. I know it's been a long time for you. We just wanted to make sure before a motion was made that both parties, even though this isn't a public hearing matter, the public will be able to chime in on the others that the council wanted to make sure that it was okay, I think, before their motion was made. So with that, Councilwoman Hayman?
I would make a motion to approve the subdivision plat amendment for lots 121 through 128 of the Summerhill Lane 4th Amendment with conditions 1 through 14 in the staff report for findings A through D.
Second.
Excuse me, A through C.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Let's vote. Councilwoman Meekum?
Aye.
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 That motion passed unanimously. Great, let's go to item number 2, this one is a public hearing and zoning map amendment and PDA zoning plan amendment on Summerhill Lane PDO. Mike, is there more that you want to mention on this, you or Sydney?
Just real quick, this is tied to ordinance number 2025-06. It's at the tail end of that. So apologize for that, but it is tied to an ordinance. And then just to make it clear what's going on is obviously Summerhill Lane is in the RL zone with the PDO overlay, and the Packer property is in the AL zone. The plan or the request from the applicant group is to remove the parcels, again, 121 to 128, as now has been amended out to reflect the AL zoning that matches Mr. Packer's property, which would again be parcel A. And that also is part of this request that the plan development overlay zoning not apply to parcel A of that subdivision amendment. So that's the only thing I wanted to note. And other than that, Mayor, that's all I have at this time, unless there's further questions after the public hearing. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any input by Symphony on this particular one?
Matt Loveland, representing Symphony Homes tonight. So my only comments, other than how cool the recognition was tonight, that is something that I think, just looking at those kids, being able to look up and see what, amazing. Regards to tonight, I just get the honor of saying on behalf of both Russell and the larger Symphony team, thank you to the Packers, as well as Mike, for trying to connect the dots on where do we go versus how do we get there. And so unless there's any other questions, Symphony Homes we're glad to put this in the rear view as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any questions before I open it to a public hearing? Okay, so this is a public hearing matter in regards to the zoning map amendment and PDO zoning plan amendment, Summerhill Lane PDO at 212 West, Summerhill Lane 2125 North, residential with plan development overlay to agricultural low. So anybody from the public, this public hearing is now open. Just please state your name and where you live if you're so inclined to comment. Public hearing is now open. Nobody online? Seeing no comments, I will close the public hearing, and we will come back to if there's any further questions from council or any further comments from staff or the applicant. Any?
I have a question as to how this started in the first place. Where did this, how did we miss the right-of-way?
I wasn't here. You might.
To tell you, that would
I'd
take
say maybe
probably
yeah.
a few days for us
A
to tell you
disagreement about a title report.
all that went on. There was an easement that wasn't on the deed, and it's just been, it's been a mess, and it's caused a lot of anguish for the people that were involved. And I'm so happy to see that it is being resolved, but it was.
It wasn't on the title report? I mean, did the planning commission not get that, the
No,
full information at the time?
we actually put in, it's a long story, but yeah.
It was on the title report, it's a disputed easement.
And so, at that point, would there not be something that would trigger you to look into that more? I'm just trying to, what is the process, where did the process break down, and how can we not allow this to happen again? That's essentially what I'm
Well, we've
concerned
since
about.
changed our code. So there were a number of different arguments that were made. At first, it was a right-of-way, then it was a quitclaim deed, then it was a prescriptive easement, which the prescriptive easement is not perfected until you go to court, and the judge says, you have a prescriptive easement.
Okay.
And then it was an easement by appurtenance, which then you have to go back and look at 100 years of deeds and say, when this, you know, if this piece was the exact same as this piece. So it was, there were a lot of legal arguments that really needed to go to court and have a judge decide. And so they recorded a notice of interest on this dispute. That dispute and notice of interest went on the plat. So I think in a way it has been resolved because one or either of the parties could have gone to court to resolve this very early on. Neither one wanted to, so now they're settling it, and this is the way they're settling it.
So legally, it did work itself out
Yes,
properly?
and we have since changed our code to say that all easements of record, meaning on the title report, because this easement was not on the title report when we first got, well, depending on when you get the title report. But anyway, I don't want to add, this is making it worse.
Yeah,
We're resolving it.
I think that parties are ready to move forward. You can go back in the minutes and look at all that stuff if you're curious, but we spent hours and hours on it. And we just heard from the parties, they're both ready to put it in the rearview mirror, so. Yeah, I don't think, in what Lisa says, we want to dig open wounds if they're healing. So let's move forward on, unless there's further questions. Do we have?
Close the public hearing, Mayor?
Yeah, I did close the public hearing.
I'd be happy to make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2025-06, amending the Centerville City zoning map to rezone approximately .31 acres of property located at 212 West Summerhill Lane from residential low with planned development overlay to agricultural low for the parcel identified as parcel A on the attached amended plat included in the staff report.
For reasons 1 through 4 in the staff
Thank you
report.
for reasons 1 through 4.
I'll second that.
Got a motion, a second, further discussion? Let's take a vote, starting with Councilman Summerhill, going to the right.
Aye.
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 That passes unanimously. Okay, let's go to the second public hearing. This is the public utility easement vacation for Summerhill Lane lots 121 through 128. Mike, further on this?
Yeah, just a few more notes with this one. Obviously, this has some very stringent public noticing requirements. of both the applicant as well as the city. I just want to note that we have followed through with that. I've worked very closely with Lisa to make sure we meet state code tip by tip, and the group as well has hit every point. We are waiting for just a few more letters to be collected, but by and large, we probably have 80% or 90% of the letters from the utility companies. And so we'll move forward once we get the final verification of that utility company notice. And then there also is noted in the background, if you look at the paragraph, that they are planning to record a new public utility and drainage, because it did service some surface drainage easements on lots 120 and 129. There's an exhibit in your packet reflecting that, if you're curious to see how that would be set up. I believe it says it's the PUE record, Summerhill Lane 2025 with exhibits. That's the document that they would utilize to memorialize those connector PUEs to the new public utility easement that is on the amended plat. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the old PUE that no longer would be applicable, that would eventually go to Mr. Packer, asking to have those vacated, and then they will record those connector ones at that same time when the vacation gets recorded. So I just want to make that point clear. The other thing I'll note is that this element is not required to go to the Planning Commission, so there wasn't a Planning Commission review or recommendation, but staff is very much in favor of what's being requested for the reasons we've already discussed on the other two items, and we support the resolution and request here for this vacation. And with that, I'll defer, Mayor, to however you'd like to proceed with the public hearing and questions. Thank you.
Okay, let me, we're okay, even though we're waiting to hear from one utility?
Yeah, it's one of the conditions of approval that they get all utility consent, that we get communication from all utilities before going to vacation. It is a condition.
Mike, where did you list those conditions?
They're at the bottom. There's quite a few conditions, you'll see.
Right, okay.
I think this might be the longest list of conditions, or close to.
Yeah.
There's 11 conditions,
Yeah, it's on the transmittal, so that's fine.
and that's on page 4.
Yep, got it.
So, any other questions from you?
Anything from the applicant before we go to a public
Yeah.
hearing on this? Okay, let's go to a public hearing on the public utility easement vacation regarding Summerhill Lane lots 121 to 128 on 2125 North Main Street. That public hearing is now open. If you're inclined to comment, once again, just state for the record who you are and where you're from. So that public hearing is open.
I'm Spence Packer, Centerville resident. Lisa, you mentioned that your ordinance had been modified to rely on a title report as the basis. Did I misunderstand that?
Our code has always required a title report, but there was some variance between conceptual plan, preliminary plan, and final plat of what needed to be shown. And on the conceptual or preliminary, it just talked about easements. On the final plat, it always said easements of record. So we changed our code so that there's no debate. It has to be an easement on the title report at conceptual, preliminary, and final.
Okay. I'd have an opinion on that, having become fairly acquainted with rights-of-way. The genesis of the issue was a bad title report. And now we're relying on that title report to approve subdivisions moving forward. So if there's an error again repeated in the title, at a title company, does that not get transferred forward? I'm just
I
suggesting.
think it would, because if it's not on at conceptual or preliminary, which is where we have typically had public hearings, you know, and then the notice of interest was placed on there, then at final, that notice of interest would still be there. So now it's a title issue, but I agree with you that, okay, it may cause some problems looking back,
So
but that's.
the language that previously existed where it said something to the effect of record or claimed has to be on the preliminary plat, is that still part of the ordinance? or
No,
does
they
that
all
modify?
just say easements of record.
Okay. Anyway, I see some holes. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Spencer. Other comments on on the public hearing? If not, we will close the public hearing related to the public utility easement vacation on Summerhill Lane, lots 121, 128, and bring it back to council to ask further questions of staff or the applicant. Or responses to the one person, Spencer Packer, that commented in the public hearing, if any, from anyone. Maybe we respond to some with Lisa, so. All right.
I would say that I also feel like there's some holes there, so I would request that we look into that a little bit further. If a title report is in error, and we're relying on that, then we don't have good information. So I think that's something we should revisit in another work session or council meeting.
I agree with that, because I think in this case, it would have been a real problem.
Yeah, we certainly can bring that up in an agenda. Does council have, in the future, does council have any concerns with this particular easement in relation to that?
No.
Okay.
No, and I'll make a motion that we approve the public utility easement vacation request for lots 121 through 128 of the Summerhill Lane subdivision, Fourth Amendment, with conditions 1 through 11 in the staff report and findings A through D.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to second. Further discussion? Okay, Councilwoman Summerhill going to my, or Councilwoman Hayman going to my right.
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously. Thank you. I think that's all we have on that one. Thank you, Packers. Thank you, Symphony. Thanks, Mike. So.
Can I also add thanks to staff? I think they ran deep down some rabbit holes to get this resolved, but thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. Staff always appreciates hearing that. And it's good to see you both. This is Spencer's son, Trent, here as well, too. So thank you for being here as well.
Thank you.
All righty. Let's move to item number 4, municipal code amendments. Thank you, Matt, as well. Let's go municipal code amendments, construction code updates. Lisa, are you going to talk about this one?
Yes.
Or somebody else? You?
Yes, I will
Okay.
talk about this. We have some proposed amendments to Title 10 of our municipal code to bring our construction codes that we use, essentially our building codes and residential codes, to conform with what the state of Utah has adopted. We've already been following those because we're required by law to follow the new codes. You'll see we're a little bit behind in the state of Utah. They're doing the 2021 version. They're updated every few years by the International Code Council. The city is required to adopt the exact same codes that the state adopts. We have less and less discretion in this area. Sometimes they would allow us to adopt some appendices if we wanted, but now they're being very specific about this code and these appendix chapters. So anyway, so this is just verbatim what the state has adopted. If we want any changes, we can apply for a local amendment. But I did, in my last review of the state rules and regs, which have all the local amendments, I didn't see any local amendments for Centerville. So these are our codes, and they did add a couple new codes that we added. And we'll just talk with our building inspector to understand these a little bit better, but we have the swimming pool and spa code that is now required, the residential provisions of the swimming pool and spa code of 2021 edition, and also the guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings. But there are conditions there. It's just talking about plaster, but the owner of the historic property has to received government tax subsidies to be subject to that. And then some additional modular building standards have been added. So happy to answer any questions, but we don't have a lot of discretion with these. We're just trying to bring our code up to date as requested by Donna Wilkinson, who was reminding me that we needed to adopt these. We will also be coming back hopefully later this year with the additional amendments that go into effect on July 1 through HB 313 of the 2025 legislative session. But I thought I'd start with these, and then we can make the
Did
amendment.
the 2025 legislative session incorporate the 2024 IRC?
I don't know. I think they were more, I don't think so.
Okay.
We usually roll behind.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for bringing us into compliance with state law.
Sorry it took so long.
Further questions for Lisa? All right, we have an ordinance in front of us. Do I have a council member that wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2025-04, amending various provisions of chapter 10.03 of the Centerville Municipal Code regarding updates to the construction codes.
Second.
Motion is second. Further discussion on this? If not, let's do a vote. Let's start with you, Councilman Palmer.
Aye.
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 That passes unanimously. Thank you. Let's go to the Arbor Day Proclamation. And also, before I talk about the proclamation, Heather Taylor from our tree board, do you want to come up and talk about the event that's taken place?
I sure do. Hi. Hello, Mr. Mayor and everybody on the board. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm Heather Taylor. I'm the newly appointed chair for the tree board. And every year, Centerville City Tree Board, through the tree board, the city encourages an Arbor Day event. For the last few years, it has been an art contest for students and with a tree theme. And the documentation that goes out looks a little bit like this. It's bright and happy and fun. And we're trying to get more involvement from some schools. It feels like we get really great involvement from some and not others. And it really is quite highly dependent upon whether or not that school has an art teacher and whether that art teacher really buys into this project as part of her curricula or her work at the school. Last year, we probably had about 100 submissions, and the year prior, it was almost 300. So that, and the difference really between those 2 years was mostly the difference in art teachers. So we're hoping to get it back up again if we can, but even still, last year's participants turned in just beautiful work. You could tell kids really cared a lot, put in a lot of effort. We get a lot more from elementary school aged kids than junior high or high school. One of my kids was the only high school applicant, so now he is an award-winning artist, so that's cool for him. But April 25th this year is Arbor Day. Arbor Day always moves because it's the last Friday in April, so it's not always the same date. And this year that's our the day of the art show, and it'll be at Reading Elementary. And we also have artists who are coming there who act as our judges for the artwork, but then they also show off their artwork as well. Good win-win for them. We would really like to explore in future years expanding this and figuring out how to make it more focused on the planting of trees or the growing of trees or people choosing to add trees to their own real estate that they have here in Centerville, so we can really promote that. But one of the things that's important for the city council to understand is that there's two reasons we need to be promoting Arbor Day from your side of things. One of them is that that is part of the tree board's duties, which you assign to us, and to promote Arbor Day. And one of them is that it is part of the parameters required in order to be a Tree City USA city. So Bruce Cox of our Parks and Rec Department has asked that the mayor and the city council do a proclamation to celebrate for Centerville City the Arbor Day this year of April 25th. And I say, sounds great. Let's hear it. Proclaim away.
Thank you, Heather. You're aware of the event going on now? Bruce had texted me earlier today and said Heather would be here representing, so you did a fine job. Thank you.
Thanks.
And these proclamations I've done in the past. It's there in front of you. Bruce did send me a picture. I think it's 13th year. Is that what it is?
The 13th year of the what?
Of being a Tree City.
Oh.
USA, Tree City USA Arbor Day Foundation, 13 years, yep. So in front of you is a proclamation for declaring April 25th as Arbor Day, as Heather's just gracefully presented to us. So I guess we're looking for a motion to approve the proclamation, right?
Based on that excellent presentation, it was really very well done. I move that we approve Proclamation 2025-01 declaring April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day.
I'll second.
Great. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Heather.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your work with the tree board and all you're doing there. Okay, let's go to the minutes, the approval of March 18, 2025 City Council minutes. Do we have any changes to any of those minutes?
I have a few changes to the open session under mine, Jennifer. I just want to make sure that this is clear in the notes where it says expressed her intent to continue doing so. Insert in her individual capacity as an elected municipal representative. Sorry, going back up to line 37, displaying a, please insert the word pride before flag. And on line 39, before that period, after governments, insert if the law went into effect, which it in fact did.
May 7th, right?
Yes. Correct. I should say it will be going into effect. So it should read, stated she was exercising her First Amendment rights by displaying a pride flag and expressed her intent to continue doing so in her individual capacity as an elected municipal representative in response to proposed legislation restricting such displays by local governments if the law went into effect. I mean, I would really love it if you would do it all in rainbow colors too, but I think I can like survive with black. I'm really just joking on
I
that.
will take that under consideration.
I'm just joking on that part. Thank you.
Other changes to the minutes?
Yes, on page 3, line 50 to 51, Councilmember Hurst reported on the sewer board and discussed a new waste management system. It's not a new waste management system, it's a new company helping to manage that system. It's called WRR, Wasatch Resource Recovery. So we just need to clarify that just a little bit by just saying it's a new company that will help manage the WRR system that is already in existence.
Good catch, yeah, that's pretty critical.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 18th with those changes made both by Council Member Heyman and Hurst.
Second to that?
Second.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's go to our council report. Tonight's report is by Councilmember Shannon Heyman.
All right, for mosquito abatement board, mosquitoes are coming. That's all I got for
I
that.
did kill one the other day after the 70-degree weather.
Sorry, I will have more information on that after a following meeting, but just know mosquitoes are coming. There you go. That's your heads up there. Let me talk more about the Whitaker Museum. A couple of heads up, just so that you guys are aware. The museum applied for a grant. It's a matching grant in the amount of $20,000, which will allow for repairs and restoration of existing historical buildings, and we're going to know within the next few weeks whether we get that. So that would be really great if the museum was able to get that. We have a lot of people that are still visiting the museum. We had some visitors from Chicago and New Jersey last week, and they have a cool audio tour there. If you've seen it, you can go and click on their little QR codes and pull them up on your phone. And in the first 3 months of our year, we had 82 visitors who stopped and listened to some of those, so that was really fun. A couple of upcoming things. So we've got our Whitaker Museum Community Garden. That is coming up according to the lovely text that Bryce shared with me. We have 25 of 32 large plots sold and 7 of 16 small plots sold. So it seems like those are always pretty popular. So if you know people who want a plot, please apply now.
And historically, they've all been sold out, is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Do we have a wait list ever?
Bryce, do you know
No.
wait list? I think they're just, when they're done, they're done.
We don't even have a non-residency either.
Yeah, well, yeah, those are always very popular.
It's okay, I've always believed that there was more than plenty of demand. I always wondered how much excess demand there's been.
I don't think we know, because once it's full, we just tell people.
Yeah, we just tell people no.
Done.
Yeah, okay.
So, but yeah, always very popular. Coming up in the next week and a half, April 10th, we're going to have a lecture by T.C. Christensen. He was a Centerville resident. He's now a Farmington resident, but he's going to be coming back to share stories about his cinematography in a series called Keeping Our Stories Alive, and it's free for everyone 12 and older, and it's going to be here at City Hall at 7 p.m. So that should be a cool event.
Shaylin, what's the date on that?
April 10.
Thank you.
Same night as budget retreat.
Which is apparently the same night as budget retreat.
We'll be
so-
That's right. Well, I'm going to pass it along because that will be a really fun presentation, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I think that that's going to be a fun event. Also in April it's a month when Davis County Museums, they collaborate together on exhibits, and there's going to be a different scavenger hunt held at each museum this month, and we're going to be having 2 family-friendly scavenger hunts. One will be inside the museum and one will be around the neighborhood, so watch for that. That should be fun. Tea Party. Tea Party is always a big event. We had so many people who came last year. If you want an opportunity to wear a fun tea hat, I encourage you to sign up for the Tea Party. Reservations are going to go on sale, on queue, on whatever the word is. You can start getting your reservations April 21, and the event itself is going to be on Saturday, June 7th, and it's $20 per person. The Whitaker Museum is also going to be doing their Aunt Hannah's Pee Wee Pioneer Camp again. That's going to start up in April for events that will happen in June. So if you want to start signing up now, there's going to be some signups, and that's for kids who are aged 4 and 5. And then one fun fact.
Can I just say on that Aunt Hannah's trunk, it is fabulous. I had my little Matthew do it a couple of years ago, and I was thinking, oh, I'm being so supportive of the Whitaker Museum and bringing my kid over. Oh, he loved it. He still talks about it. So I just want to say, if you do know any little people, they will love it.
Oh, that's so great. The museum is collecting several stories. So Centerville Women Part 1, this would be any women from 1847 to 1950. You guys may be interested to know that the first Utah and 7th American nurse to enlist in World War I to serve in France came from Centerville and South Davis, which is cool, I thought. And we're also collecting stories for veterans who served while residents of Centerville City. We're focusing on World War I, but I mean, if you have any, or if you know of anybody who has stories, that would be great. Get those to us. And then fun fact, Ron Randall Service Station, right over here, was featured in a movie that came out last month. Do you guys know this? Yeah, featured in a movie. And Ron was played a small part in the last film. I haven't seen it, but the film is called Princess for a Day. And it was premiered in Utah County. So we are also famous in film.
Neat.
So some fun things with Whitaker Museum.
Yeah, those
like a
are
Hallmark show.
almost all those events, pretty cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's all I have, Mayor.
thank you. Questions for Councilmember Hammond? Anything pressing with any of your committees? that we need to know before our next meeting?
Nothing pressing, but I just wanted to let the council know that we did receive the award for the South Davis Greenway feasibility study from WFRC, which was a big coup in terms of a small contribution for a large compensation, I guess, for lack of a consideration is probably a better word to use. So I know that between the staffs of North Salt Lake, Bountiful, us, and that ended up being Farmington as well, they'll just be working on that, and I suppose Mike will have future questions for us or input, so.
Thank you, Councilman Sunrise. Yeah, I saw that email. That was exciting, so thank you. Okay, anyone else? All right, Mayor's report. The first thing I want to report on is since last meeting, myself and many of the staff met with Rob White from UDOT. We discussed the freeway expansion. We discussed cars going the wrong way on the highways. If we could sign that better, usually they're inebriated. So, staff, anything that came out of that any of you want to report on? That I thought it was a very good meeting, useful. He brought a couple other people with him, but any highlights that helped you out at all? I know I'm putting you on the spot, so. But it was about, what did we go, about an hour? But it was a good hour meeting with Rob and a couple people from UDOT. The next thing is that in our last COG meeting, we discussed many things. One in particular that what you'd find interest in is Beth Holbrook as a UTA trustee is up for, it's not an election per se, but the various COGs in the district that she covers that submit her, names to the governor for an appointment for a 3-year term. So if any of you have, before my next COG on April 14th, any other names you'd like submitted as trustees, we will submit those to the governor, and then he makes the appointment. So it's kind of, COGs are allowed to submit names, but then it's the governor that sees those names in front of him and decides. And then Wasatch Integrated Waste Management, the saga goes on, both with Leighton leaving the district and hiring a new director with Nathan's retirement at the end of June. We are narrowed the candidates to 3 candidates and are interviewing them in person next Thursday between 10 and 1 o'clock, or a week from Thursday the 10th.
Is Leighton still threatening to leave?
Yeah, they've been going around meeting with each of the commissioners individually, and I think it's public record, so I'm not destroying any confidences, but they've kind of just told their residents they're out. I, as the chair this year, with others of the board, approved that, hey, as residents come to the dump, give them the letter from Leighton, and also what it's going to, they're going to be charged out of district rates. And said so. Leighton City was a bit mad at us, but I used the example of some things that take place in a city, and you need to be public about it. And that was a grandma request letter, and so now the residents are knowing about it, and we'll see what happens there. What Leighton's solution is, we all have an idea, but so they proceeded forward, and they take their attorney with them to every meeting they go to, along with the city manager. And then, so we'll see what happens there. And then the last thing is I had a good lunch with Chief Stewart from the fire department and our Centerville station here last Thursday last week, and had good discussions with the firefighters that were working that day, and asked them what we could do for them. And they were very grateful for all the gifts that come to them throughout the year, on the holidays especially, and they just wanted me to relay that support. And they also, Chief Ackerson, they relayed that amazing it is to work with Centerville Police Force as well too, and relayed some instances of what a big help that the Centerville Police Force has been on some of their calls as well too. So it was a really good meeting. So any questions for me?
Mayor, I think maybe Mike has a grant that I don't know everybody knows about for $1 million. Maybe he'd like to come up and tell us about it.
What?
We're pretty excited about it.
Mike, I think we need an updated grant list. I'm just, no, I'm not trying to give you more to do.
Well,
But that's a huge accomplishment.
yeah, we ended up with another $1 million, nothing too big, but anyway, so yeah, so now on 1250 West, we had from Parish Lane to Second North, we received the grant this last week, well, the week before, from Second North all the way to West Bountiful. So we'll be able to complete that whole project. If I understood everything right, we will get to do it all at once. So that'll help save us. We do have a drainage project. We got a reverse grade pipe that we've got to fix. So there are things that are coming up with that. I am working right now because I think the list that I've sent out to you guys before on the grants, I wanted to put the year that's going to be going in there, because I really put it because I wanted to see when those are going to be coming due. So we're up to 12 million that we received in grants. Most of those are streets. There is, the box culvert on 4 South from the frontage road to Main Street, which is a Davis County Centerville project. That's not included in there, as I remember right. But I want to put the dates or the years that those will be in there so that we can watch them as they come due, so we make sure that we have enough money to do those. But I think the city's up to about 2.33 million to the 12 million that we've received. So I think I was pleased. That was, I was pretty happy that we got it, and I think it's a good.
Mike, where did the grant money come from for this? Is 1250 West?
WFRC.
I'm sorry, say it again, WFRC?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And then you said 12 million over what, the last 10 years?
The last little bit. Yeah, it's been
Awesome.
about 4 years. We've been getting some things. We've been getting little grants here and there, but we started trying to keep track basically from the time I came in. And then
That is incredible. Thank you so much for your efforts to find those resources. That's really awesome.
My feeling is it's the only way that we can combat not raising our residents' cost up more. I mean, 12 million should save them a little bit of money. One of them was a reservoir. I'm gonna shame people, but a little bit, but with the amount of time that it's taken to get this off the ground, they've cost us probably, instead of $500,000, probably closer to 700,000 or so, because we can't get it going. We're hoping, we've met with EPA again this week, and we're hoping that in 1st of May, we'll start digging the hole for the reservoir. So we're excited. It's a good thing for our department, and it helps alleviate a lot of the coppers, I feel, for the city. So it's been a good thing.
We'd like to thank Mike and Kevin both. They work really hard at getting these grants.
More Kevin than me. I just hang on his coattail, but.
Both of them do an amazing job.
So,
I promote our staff to everyone. I don't just say that. Like, I tell everybody, you guys don't know how good we have it on our staff. And I ask for an updated list because I would really like to find a way to get this information out to our residents. I really think they deserve to know how hard our staff is working and how much money you guys have saved our residents. If we had a lovely newsletter that would go out in paper to people, that's where I would advocate to put it, but.
The social media posts have been fantastic lately, advertising what's on our agenda.
But I do commend you guys, and I would like to find a way to think about that as cities, like, as council. How do we get that information out effectively to our residents? Because you guys do a really, really good job for our city.
It's been pretty good because, with the projects on I-15, Kevin, I'm going to just throw the credit where credit's due. Kevin has been able to get our pipes upsized on the drain We're now in the negotiation stage right now to where I think we go from a 36 to 42-inch line down there by Parish. Dave might remember, we were in the meeting on it. So Kevin is very mindful of making sure that we get, I think it's somewhat betterments, that it's, it's really, anytime you can get something bored underneath I-15 for small change is a good deal. So we're excited. I would update you a little bit on the I-15. We're meeting with them. It feels like daily, but it's not. It just, the meetings feel that way. But we're meeting with them at least every other week, and the updates that they're coming through, and it's exciting. So anyway,
Thanks,
you can
Mike.
tell my enthusiasm, right?
Yeah, you can.
I think that calls for a round of applause. What do you think? Another
No, it
$1 million? I'm gonna clap you there. That's so great.
It's everybody, it's our staff. I mean, we can bring the money in, but my staff has to do the work, right?
I still get to clap you anyway. Just take the clap. Just take
I'll
the
try,
clap.
it's hard. Anyway.
Thanks, Mike.
Almost statue worthy.
Oh, there you go.
City manager report tonight?
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, look at this.
I get the floor for a couple minutes.
Great, and he'll know exactly how many
wanna sit
minutes
right
it's
here.
gonna talk.
Well, let me
Wow,
tell you
you-
the report.
You're in a good mood as well, too. Looks like.
Yeah, because he's within 2 or 3 minutes of you know what.
No, I'm not even close. We had to talk for at least 40 minutes.
Please don't.
Please don't.
No. Just Brant wanted me to mention one thing or a couple things, and I added my own little spin on things. So budget retreat starts next week, Tuesday and Thursday. We start at 5:30. Tuesday will be Greek, so dress Greek.
Greek.
Thursday, any choices?
I saw you said Cutler's.
I said Cutler's, but is there
on
any?
Bamboo HR, it said Cutler's.
I know, but
What time did you say, 5:30?
5:30.
Okay.
You want something different?
I'm good with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
All right. Budget baskets this year will be Trader Joe themed.
Trader Joe.
Yeah, so be excited. And then just to curtail off the mayor, the 4th of July has kind of got some updates. We booked the Nick Chamberlain Band for the headliner. They're a big band out of southern Utah. They performed at Peachy Days when I was there in Hurricane, so it'll be really, really good.
What kind of music are they?
It's going to be a mix of a lot of different things. So like Bob Dylan, country, rock. It's going to be a real big variety. Food trucks, we're on a waiting list. So that's pretty awesome. We're at 16 to 25 booths sold for the 4th of July and 7 of the 10 for small booths, so that's going really well. And then pickleball fundraising, we're at 2 of 4 benches and 3 of 8 paddle holders. So we're kind of slowly moving along. And the batting cage is done at Community Park, so pretty
Oh, neat.
awesome.
Need to go see that. Yeah.
That is my report.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's right.
Nicely
Oh, I
done.
got a pity clap. Thank you. I appreciate that. I should do this more often. Well, you're still my favorite.
Is there, I'm not aware of a closed session need. Is there anything else council needs to bring forth? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.